Oh,
The
Meghan.
very cookie-cutter idea of precisely what we should look like. It was solely about beauty, and not necessarily about brains. And I would end up leaving with this pit in my stomach, knowing that I was so much more than what was being objectified on the stage. I didn't like feeling forced to be all looks and little substance. And that's how it felt for me at the time, being reduced to this specific archetype.
Meghan Markle is just the gift that keeps on giving, if you can even call her a gift. Of course, as you can tell from the title, today we will be not just talking about the bimbo episode on her podcast last week, but also the overarching message that she made intentionally. Everything's always intentional with that woman. And the best part, exposing what a liar and what a hypocrite she is.
Oh my God, that is her. What?
Just look at Amber Heard in the Johnny Depp.
That is her. That is clearly her. I was having trouble figuring that one out. Let's go back. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Woman. And the best part, exposing what a liar.
Oh my God. Oh my
The more we
God.
expose, the more people learn. Just look at.
Okay, if you ever thought that that wasn't her in that one video, oh wow. Wait, maybe that wasn't the same video. Maybe that was just two different videos, and this one's G-rated.
Amber Heard in the Johnny Depp trial. And that is the trajectory that Meghan Markle is hurtling.
So this is apparently a new channel that I found. Let's see what it's called. She's really cute, too. It's called The Prude. Okay, so let's continue watching. I got banned on a couple of videos today, so... I mean, if you're a new creator, you know what it's like, right? It's called entertainment, and sometimes it's hit or miss.
Towards.
Nice.
So as I said in my last video,
that was a nice introduction. Okay.
I tuned into the podcast last week with Paris Hilton. Specifically,
this place that she's at is giving me vibes that she's like in some kind of a hotel or hospital. I don't know. Okay.
I actually like Paris Hilton. I'm not going to go off into a tangent, but I think that she is an example of a woman who does have substance and looks. True to form, Meghan tries to come up with this story that she can put into the episode as a parallel, as a way to tell the guests and, of course, the audience that I, too, went through this experience. Except, as with every other episode, this attempt always seems to fall flat on its face. So she references her time back in 2006 when she was a model, a briefcase girl, on the game show Deal or No Deal.
God.
That show is not really known to me.
I hated that show, but my husband loved it.
I was a child at the time, but it seems to be a typical show of that era. You have beautiful women, models essentially, whose job is to look good. Whether you agree with that, whether you call that objectification, that's a subjective opinion. So I will say that
she's right. Smart girl, she's right.
Meghan Markle actually tried that show, didn't last long, because I believe in this instance, she lasted for 34 episodes. That's a very long time. I'm sure we've all tried something that turned out to...
I don't know if she's going to cover that or not, but in Hollywood, it's clear that these 34 episodes were filmed throughout the course of 10 days. Sorry about that. That's my cattle dog in the background. And she's recently... Stop it! She's recently been diagnosed with arthritis in her hind legs. And she's only 6, y'all. So she's very feisty and a lot of work. But let me continue with saying that she didn't work for longer than a week or 10 days. And, you know, she filmed, I think, something like 34 episodes. And they filmed like 5 a day or 6 a day or something like that.
Not really suit us. for whatever reason. That's okay. If she thinks.
And the word here is she was fired because she was too flirtatious.
That job is objectifying. That's her opinion. She should have kept it to herself if he asked me.
Obviously, if you're going to be on a set where you feel objectified and you get fired for flirting, it begs the question, why did you really do this podcast? And by the way, it's not lost on me that Red Table Talk. Oh my God, you guys, it's so bad. Okay, so on Red Table Talk, when Jada Pinkett Smith interviewed Leah Remini, she was wearing red pants. Yeah.
Me, given her platform and her global reach, and knowing especially that anything she says will reach the women who used to work on that show alongside her and insult them.
Yeah.
Which she essentially did.
So purposefully done because, so, you know, being the center stage, being on a center stage means that you want everybody to pay attention to you. So there can't be people that were also girls with briefcases on the show, right? Meghan not only has to be the most famous one of all of them, but she also wants you to know that she was the only one that you need to be worried about. So forget all those other girls because they were just, what? Bimbos.
By insinuating that they were all bimbos.
And by the way, I was surrounded by smart women on that stage with me, but that wasn't the focus of why we were there.
Well, recollections may vary according to the women who.
And don't you get the idea sometimes that she's trying to talk at us like she's reading us a book, right? Like, okay, you don't need to sound like you're reading a book to like a 10-year-old.
Participated in that show. I'm not going to go into much detail, but they debunked her version of events and said that maybe that was her experience, but that's just not how things were on set.
Okay.
It's okay for someone to talk about something they experienced and say it wasn't for me. But here's the
I thought that was the name of her show.
Not only does she essentially insult these kinds of jobs and positions, which she voluntarily applied for, but she insinuates that she quit because it was objectifying, only to move on to roles that made the briefcase girl gig.
What in the world did she say yes to?
Years after.
What? Okay, hold on. Did she really? Oh my God.
No deal. We've all heard enough about Hollywood to know that it is extremely cutthroat in that industry, especially for women. But the objectification there
is very
second to none almost.
It is too cutthroat. Sometimes you can't do it.
It's part of the gig.
You choose not to.
It's what you signed up for.
And other times,
like me in the army complaining that they made.
And other times you get discarded. You're literally like, they're done with you.
Made us hold and fire weapons. And as for the lashes and the tanning stations and the vouchers and the hair and makeup.
All the girls, we would line up and there were different stations for having your lashes put on or your extensions put in. We were even given spray tan vouchers each week. It was solely about beauty and not necessarily about brains.
First of all, who wouldn't love to be paid to have all of that done to them? It's part of your job to get dolled up. How great is that? But second of all, and more importantly, it's something she continues to do of her own accord to this very day. I mean, you can almost call her Meghan Fake Lashes Markle. It's a trademark of hers at this point, as is all that tanning and bronzing. I'm not judging her appearance and what she chooses to put on her face, but it's funny to hear someone call something out as objectifying, clearly trying to tell the audience that we have to.
You know what's funny? What's funny is her telling the world what Hollywood is like. It's like she wants you to know that Hollywood is so fake, right? It's so fake.
To go through something demeaning and degrading, only to skip the part where she still does it. This is a woman whose entire career depended on the way she looks. And let's not forget that this is a woman who married a man. That's her entire claim to fame right now. And how did she do that? By utilizing her looks, her beauty. Anyone out there who thinks Harry fell for her personality and it had nothing to do with her looks is very...
It's kind of starting to look like now, though. Well, no, I can't really say that. I was going to say that it's starting to look like maybe Harry was like the perpetrator. But every time you look at it, right, from all the angles, you got to kind of ask yourself, well, wait a second. This is like a very calculated woman. So she's not, she didn't just go to London. She went to London on a mission.
Very naive and very much in denial about human nature.
I'm here to give you the inside scoop on why thousands of people are moving with Fincher. This is not a fitness app.
So where did all this come from? Is this really just her desire to once again insert herself into this bimbo category?
Notice how her room, it's gotten darker in her room and now she's got a light on. It's crazy. Okay. So she's doing this recording in segments. I mean, obviously I know that you stitch stuff together, but that's very good to know.
I don't think so. Meghan Markle bites the hand that feeds her. It's just how she is. She did it to her father, she did it to the royal family, and now she's doing it to these jobs.
She's Catholic. Catholic people feel very entitled. I'm Catholic. I know.
That she was so fortunate to land. Hollywood is incredibly competitive. There were probably thousands of women her age who auditioned for the role, and she got it. Rather than be grateful, and she does pretend to be grateful in the podcast. That's how she opens it.
It's not always like that. It's not usually thousands of people. I mean, unless you're auditioning for the Raiderettes or something like that, It's not thousands of people. The auditions usually have about, I've never seen more than 30. On occasion, you'll see like maybe a line, but it's never that. So no, I mean, auditions, no. They put out an ad and then everybody sees it, or the agents send their girls, and it's that simple, really.
The bills, but it's all very backhanded.
I was thankful for the job, but not for how it made me feel, which was...
I think that she's being honest right there, but let me be clear. Her father was an award-winning light director. So this girl was not deprived of anything. She didn't want for anything as a kid. So maybe the most that she ever wanted was to be 100% of one race, right? Or the other, and not being mixed. Because having your feet in two different worlds has to suck, right?
Not smart. And I would end up leaving with this pit in my stomach, knowing that I was so much more than what was being objectified on the stage.
So I'm just going to move on.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I think I remember her pre this particular era of hers, which was like the salon girl, right? That she's turned into.
Myself and take on roles that objectified me because Deal or No Deal just wasn't objectifying enough.
How do you take a role like that, though? Seriously?
I don't know. Make it make sense. But back to the point I was trying to make. Tangents. Revenge. The host of the show actually confessed...
That was a nice set of black and whites.
...that he didn't really remember Meghan Markle once she became Harry's girlfriend, eventually wife.
I didn't remember Meghan. When all the hoopla started, I remember $5.
Okay, so remember that I said that she filmed like 5 or 6 episodes or 4 episodes a day somewhere along the line, and she only made 34 episodes. So she was only there for like not very long, right? A couple weeks, couple weeks, I don't know.
I don't remember Meghan.
And knowing Meghan, knowing that she can never rise above gossip and tabloids and social media, she definitely caught that. And I think, much like everything else on her podcast, she's using that platform to exact her revenge on anyone and everyone who rejected her.
I also feel like these are study tactics, right? Techniques that she uses, that she's learned, that she's paid for, right? So in this life, you're going to do what you're going to do or you're not. There's only two kinds of people in the world in this life. There's doers and sayers, right? Some people do what they say they're going to do. Other people say they're going to do it, but they don't usually do it. So, I mean, this is a lesson that you're learning. It's called life. Life doesn't stop, it keeps going.
Or didn't remember her. So I really think this was her way to get back at the host and tell him, F you, you don't remember me? Well, your show was crap, and that's why I left. Interestingly,
she didn't leave, though. She was, fired, allegedly, because Howie Mandel's wife caught wind that she was being too touchy-feely with him. And there is video of her being that touchy-feely, all like literally. I mean, if you're a jealous wife and your husband is a germaphobe, right? Like Harry Mandel is a germaphobe. And so this chick was touching on him. And this man has been going to therapy for like decades because he's a germaphobe. He can't shake people's hands. And then this girl comes out, I'm a lighting director's daughter. My dad won an Emmy. You don't think she showed up on set with that attitude and that verbatim? So the people were tired of it. But then Howie Mandel came into the picture. These agents in the industry must have been pooping their pants when Meghan Markle walked on the scene, because they had to figure out a way to keep her away from Howard. And at some point, when you've grown up in the business like this chick has, you learn that this is an activity, right? That's like occurring, right? So camaraderie is an activity. You can't see it, but you know that it's there, right? And so she knew that there was an actual essence, or that particular level of work in the midst, and she knew that she was the center of that midst. She didn't know what or why, right? Had she done her homework and learned that the host was a germaphobe, right, she would not have ever touched him. But I don't know where all that came from, but let's continue on. This girl has a really good video, and I'm loving her background. I, however, can't afford to be renting hotel rooms to be staying in, or dorms and shit like that. But it's very nice.
This talk that she didn't quit and that she was too friendly with the host, and so his wife insisted that Meghan was fired. I read it online. It's in an article, it's out there, but I cannot verify it as fact. She mentions her internship in Argentina. She fails to mention it only lasted 6 weeks because she
screwed that one up, didn't she?
Failed an entrance exam, which is ironic, seeing as she's bringing that up as an example of how she was...
International studies and international relations, not the same thing. I have a niece that graduated from high school with international studies, and no, not international relations. Or no, was that her college? Yeah, I think that was her college degree. So, I can tell you that, yeah, it's all top secret from there.
valued for her brains, for her intelligence, and how the contrast of that job and Deal or No Deal really struck her and bothered her. She also forgot to mention that her uncle, who passed away last year, got her that internship. Never reached out to his wife or anyone from the family to express her condolences for their loss.
Sex is for the great outdoors.
Back in 2016, she was interviewed for the second time by Larry King. Now, I do want to say she was interviewed by him in 2013 as well, because her best friend, her best friend who wasn't her maid of honor or even a bridesmaid at her wedding, Lindsay Roth, even though Meghan was the maid of honor at her wedding 2 years prior, but her best friend Lindsay was a producer on the show. And I think we can all put two and two together and figure out how exactly Meghan got a seat opposite Larry King twice in the span of less than 3 years. But in that interview, she's the one who actually says, you can be both. You can be smart, you can be a feminist, you can be a boss, a go-getter, and be taken seriously, as well as being feminine and beautiful.
Okay, so just a quick tidbit about like post 9/11, right? There was a lot of desperation, okay, in the air, right? So that desperation it just abounded. And so this did not like go away. Clearly, a year is a year, so there are 365 days involved in in a year. But we're talking like this desperation, it lingered and it festered and it took it to this day we're still reeling from that. So like that desperation bred a lot of different types of people. So we have to take that into account. Not only is this woman a product of her environment, but like she basically came up on social media. What we're doing today, every single one of us has a phone that we walk around that we can't be apart from. So, I mean, she's not different. She's just,
Beautiful, putting on your makeup, doing your hair, getting dressed up in a feminine way. One does not negate the other. And I watched that interview for the first time when I used to like Meghan, so pre-Oprah interview. And I loved that message.
It's very important to shift this idea that, one would say, okay, you're coming on to Larry King, and you're doing politicking, so maybe wear a blazer and play the opposite and make sure you can be taken seriously. My point in all of this is that no matter what you look like, you should be taken seriously.
Little did I know that it was disingenuous. This is the thing with Meghan. The more she talks, the deeper the hole she digs for herself. I mean, you've messed up when WHOOPY Goldberg, who I think is usually very woke, very PC, also comes out and speaks against you and essentially says, this seems to be a perception that you have in your own head. This is a you problem, not a general or universal problem.
The objectification might be coming from you and how you felt about how these women were being portrayed. And that's what you have to change, because we're performers. When you're a performer, you take the gig.
Correct.
Because I don't think that people were looking at these girls like this. I think people want the money.
Wow, that's really good.
I think the takeaway here is be careful what you say, because people will go digging, especially if you are as high profile as Meghan Markle. I don't think she dreamed in those days when she was the hot girl on the plane, or when she was pretending to pleasure a man in broad daylight in his car. I don't think she ever knew that she would one day have the platform that she does today. But one would have thought that someone as obsessed with her image as she is would have at least done the research, would have at least double-checked what's out there before pretending to be holier than thou and before insulting her ex-colleagues and the women after her who continued on in the show. This all just seems to be a grudge, as usual.
Right.
Meghan is holding a grudge against Hollywood for rejecting her time and time again. They're not even accepting her now. It's not like she hasn't tried. I'm sure she was dipping her toes with that elephant documentary with Disney. But it looks like the industry isn't interested in her even after she became the Duchess of Sussex.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Thank you all so much for joining. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And
Yeah, definitely go and